So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I score my bread. What I use first are these Reynolds parchment baking sheets, and I always cut it on the non-folded side. Now I have my sheet ready to score on, and then here is my cold-proof dough. It's been in the refrigerator for about maybe like 14 or 15 hours. And yeah, I'm just gonna show you guys how I do this all. So I have all-purpose flour in my shaker. I like to use these little razor blades. They're super flexible, if you can see. And they come like this. And what I've realized is I like to snip off this little end here so that when I'm scoring into the bread, I can really bend my blade and I have full control of what my cuts are. And then for my ear, I always use a lame, and this, I like having the arch because it lifts up that flap of bread. And then also one of my favorites is an X-Acto knife for like straight cuts, and you have more control because it is like super pointy. And then there are lots of different ones you can buy. This is the bread llamas, and then I think there's like a UFO one too. So they're all great. There's nothing, it's just everyone's preference. And right now, I like to have full control of my blade. And then I have a piece of floss, but you can use like a string or a wire, anything really. I just reuse this, I just wrap it up and use it for all of my bread. So what I'm gonna do first is cover it in flour. And what I like to do, because I like to do designs all around the bread, is if you could see here, there's still dough showing. So I just put some on my hand and pat it on. That way it's all white. This actually coated pretty well, so I don't think I really need that much more flour. And then today I'm gonna be doing my most liked design. I looked on my insights on Instagram, and this is my most liked design. So what I do is I always map out where my ear is gonna go, where my big main cut in my bread is, so that I have an idea. And for me, I do not want to cut too close to where the main ear will be, because then the design will split and it will break open with that. Okay, so my most liked design was one of the most recent ones I posted with all the intricate cuts. So, but let me see. I think I'm gonna change it up. I never like to do anything the same. So we're gonna see, this is gonna be like an experiment. So I'm gonna do, so what I'm using is I'm using the back of the X-Acto knife. I don't know if you can see this because I'm filming this on my phone by myself. I use the back of the X-Acto knife to sketch out what I want. You can use the end of a toothpick as well, but I just like to have an idea of where I'm gonna be cutting. I personally like asymmetric designs, so I'm gonna go with this. Now, let's see, let me make sure this is in the shot. So I'm gonna be doing little, so if you can see how much, you see where this line of flour is right there? That's how much of the blade is going in for this specific design. And with this, I'm gonna do really small ones, so my lines are gonna be vertical, almost vertical as if they're standing up. Rather than going horizontal like this, they're all vertical. And this allows it to be more detailed. And in between each one, maybe not each one, but in between a lot of them, I'll just wipe off the blade. And then again, because my line here for my ear is right there, I'm not going to go any closer to that because I don't want my design to split. And another thing, because I just did that right now, is if all of my cuts, this is if you're being very particular, which I am, because I'm an artist, so I'm like, want everything to look the same. But because all of my cuts are going from the top to the bottom, I'm doing all of them top to the bottom. If I do it this way, it's pulling my dough different and it will bake differently. That's like if you're being super exact. If you want lines in your bread, it's really hard to keep them to look like lines without them like breaking open and splitting. So you are barely going to put your blade in your dough. Like I have literally like that much in. So it's just like a hint. It's just enough to leave a mark. This is a very crucial part when you're cutting your ear. I feel like everyone is trying to aim for that perfect ear. So the trick I have found is you want your blade like that much, this much of your blade in. And you don't want to just put it vertical. You need to put it at an angle so that it's lifting up your bread and creating a flap. So you want to go pretty quick, but I'm going to do this. See how it's almost horizontal with it. So see how much is in my bread, on my dough. And then I always like to curve it. So it's kind of like a C or like a crescent shape. Okay, so we are done. And then I'm gonna show you guys how I put it in my oven. So I have my oven at 500 degrees. My Dutch oven has been preheating. And then I'm gonna set a timer for 20 minutes. Okay, it's ready for the lid to come off for the last 5 to 8 minutes. I'll see how the color looks. Woo, it looks good. There is our design. So I like to always have a little bit of black on the ear. I like to have the blackest blacks and the whitest whites. Just because I'm an artist, that's what I want in my charcoal drawings. So I aim for that here. So that will probably be like 7 more minutes. So here is the final design. I think it baked out really nicely. One of the examples when I was saying if you score too deep, your lines will split, and that's what I mean by splitting. But kind of reminds me of like shooting star. Now the fun part is we get to cut it open. Let's hear it real quick. So nice and crusty.